Once upon a time, in the heart of Port Harcourt, where the city buzzed with life and secrets, there stood a church unlike any other. A towering, white building with golden gates and a name that echoed power, Mountain of Firelight Dominion. People came from across the country to worship there. Not because of its beauty, but because of its miracles. Blind eyes opened. The crippled walked. The barren conceived. And at the center of it all was a young, magnetic preacher. Pastor Elijah. He was barely in his 30s, handsome, eloquent, and dangerous. His words stir the soul, his hands summon power, and his eyes, oh, his eyes, looked through you like glass. By his side was his wife, Pastor Rejoice. Beautiful, silent, glowing. She never spoke unless it was prophecy. She never ate unless it was alone. And no one had seen her shadow in years. Then came Amaka, a corporate girl from Arbar. 22. Fierce. Spirited. Searching for a church. She walked into Firelight Dominion one Sunday morning, drawn by the crowd and the sound of worship. What she found was not worship. It was control. It was fear. It was something darker than night itself. The first day she stepped in, the pastor called her out, revealed her name, her village, her father's death. People screamed. Amaka froze. Then, he handed her a bottle. A small, golden vial of anointing oil. He said, "This will open your destiny." She took it. That night, her life changed. Doors opened. Her allowance doubled. Her name was on lips she hadn't met. The oil worked. But then came the dreams. She dreamt of chains, of altars soaked in blood, of weeping women, and voiceless boys. Each night, she woke with her heart pounding, her body cold, her mirror fogged with strange handprints. And still, the oil worked. Amaka started watching. The old women in church hovered around the pastor like bees to rotten honey. Their faces were always smiling. Too smiling. The boys, the young ones who cleaned, served, followed, looked pale. Tired. Scared. Something or wasn't right. One day, she met Chimer, a former usher who had gone mad. He whispered, "There are rooms beneath. Don't go down there. That's where they keep the mouths." Amaka asked, "Mouths?" He screamed and ran. She waited for a Friday night vigil. There especially one. She hid near the church's back window. Watched through a broken louver. What she saw would haunt her forever. Candles burned. Pastor Elijah stood naked, chanting in a language that cracked the air. Pastor Rejoice held a bowl, filled with blood. An old woman knelt before them, offering herself. Behind her stood a teenage boy. Still, eyes glazed. A sacrifice. Amaka ran. She got home. Opened the bottle. The oil was bubbling. She vomited. Black liquid. It wriggled. That night, Pastor Rejoice appeared in her mirror. She smiled and whispered, "You've seen too much." This was no church. This was a coven. A factory of fear, sacrifice, and power. The oil? It healed, but every drop demanded payment. A womb. A child. A voice. A soul. Amaka was the first to fight back. But would she be the last? A church where miracles had a price. Where oil healed, but took something in return. Where the pastor and his wife hid their power in blood and shadows. But Amaka had seen enough. Now, she was ready to fight back. That night, she returned to the church alone. With only a flashlight, a bottle of water, and her grandmother's red scarf wrapped around her wrist, set to protect against unclean spirits. She didn't come to pray. She came to find the truth. Behind the altar was a wooden trapdoor, half hidden beneath the red carpet. She had seen Pastor Elijah step there once, during a private prayer session. She pulled it open. What she found was a staircase leading into blackness. The air changed. The deeper she went, the colder it got, as if the light above had been swallowed. She saw carvings on the wall, symbols she couldn't read. Some pulsed faintly. Others bled wax-like tears. Then, ere she entered the first room. The room of silence. Dozens of glass jars lined the shelves. Inside each jar floated a pair of lips. Human lips. Mouths taken from those who tried to speak. Their lips moved, silently, muttering truths no one could hear. On the floor were names, carved with fingernails. Chidi. Mamar and Kechi. I didn't agree to this. Then she entered the second room. The nursery. Rows of wooden cribs filled the darkness. But they didn't hold babies. They held dolls. Each one made of rags, bones, beads, and something personal. An earring, a school badge, a lock of hair. And every doll resembled a child in the congregation. Amaka remembered the boy who screamed one Sunday. His skin bubbled as if burned. They said it was demonic possession. But now she understood. His doll had been burned. That was the real power of firelight dominion. Not healing. Not deliverance. Control. In the final chamber, she saw it. A black altar with a scroll pinned to it. In blood it read, "We do not serve man. We do not serve Christ. We serve the one beneath." And beneath that altar, here in a glass case, was a beating heart. Still alive. Still moving. Feeding the oil. Feeding the miracles. It was replaced once a year. Always during the Festival of Light. Suddenly it all made sense. The elders who never aged. The boys who vanished. The mothers who lost their minds. Their miracles were purchased with flesh. As she turned to run, Pastor Rejoice was behind her. No footsteps. No sound. Just her cold voice. "You should not have come here, daughter of Abel. Your grandmother's fire protects you. But not for long." Amaka screamed and tossed the red scarf at her. It caught fire, white flames that burned without heat. Rejoice vanished. Smoke filled the air. The walls trembled. It was time to burn this evil to the ground. The next morning, during service, Amaka walked in quietly. This time, she carried no oil. Just a mirror, one her grandmother had blessed before she died. She lifted it and turned it toward the altar. The congregation gasped. In the mirror, Pastor Elijah's reflection was not human. It was a beast. Horned. Eyeless. Covered in mouths. The women screamed. The boys fled. The altar split open. He roared, "You dare reveal me?" But Amaka was ready. She lifted her voice and shouted, "The blood of the innocent cries out." The building shook. The dolls burst into flame. Spirits, tiny, broken, but free, rose from the nursery room, screaming in rage and relief. They surrounded Elijah and Rejoice, dragged them into the altar flame. The church burned. People wailed. Bones were found beneath the foundation. The miracle oil tested positive for blood, bone dust, and dark herbs. Pastor Elijah and Rejoice were never found. Only ashes. Amaka left Port Harcourt that week. Quietly. She's never been seen again. But they say she travels now, exposing evil churches and the shadows behind holy robes. And if you ever find a golden bottle of oil rolling toward you on the street, don't pick it up. Not all anointing is holy.